Namaskar. My colleague Pankaj Chaudhary, Chairman of the PFRDA, Deepak Mohanty ji, Secretary DFS Madirala ji, all officials who have come before me, parents and children who have come here, not just here but all over the country, the media. Let me begin by saying that the alacrity and the speed with which both the Department of Financial Services and also the PFRDA have executed what was announced in the July budget in this kind of a speedy manner, I actually am pleasantly surprised, and I congratulate the two of you. This kind of fulfilling what is said in the budget in a matter of a few months gives a lot of hope that budget speeches are not just read, but they are enacted upon and they are brought to the ground. I see a lot of children in the crowd, young students. So I would like to make my address a bit to the children also. Whilst this is an event marking the implementation of a budget announcement, like my colleague said, Prime Minister has a vision for India to be developed by the time we mark 100 years of our independence from the imperial rule. We got our independence in 1947. So by 2047, it is not too much to think that we need to be developed, but it is also not a dream because it is possible by the efforts of all of us people of India. You need good visionary leadership, and you also need governments which work for the people. If we do have these combination, it is possible to realize what appears like a dream now, but it is possible to reach that state and give our children a better India to live in. We see a lot of changes happening even now. We are really honestly much better off than many other countries, which are even today, even if they are advanced countries, you see them struggling to grow. You see them, they may be at a better, higher level than we are in the rate of development or the status in which they are, they may be better than we are. But the rapidity with which, because of the efforts of our people, we are able to grow, they are not able to grow in that kind of a speed. And therefore, we are standing out as an economy which is growing at the fastest rate in the last few years, this year, and the next few years also, for which you can do prediction. So if that is the kind of growth with which we are leading ourselves, we also need to plan so that there is intergenerational equity. What do I mean by that? I mean that if this generation is earning, paying for its well-being and living with its family, but today's generation also has the responsibility of taking care of its senior citizens, the elders in your family, many of whom do not have pensions. So in a way, the children and grandchildren are giving them the option to live with dignity because we're all part of a family. But if only the parents had had the opportunity, like that video you saw, parents talking to that young child, saying, this is going to help you, this is going to help you in your future. And then the mother of the child says, if only we had something like this when we were young. What does that actually mean? If these facilities were available then, today's senior citizens, literally all of them, would have had the opportunity to have some money in their hands, saying, this is my earned saving, converted to become pension, either contributory or not. And therefore, I too have some money to take care of myself when I'm old, as much as my children are taking care of me. So that giving dignity to the life of elders, which we, because we are born and brought up in India, are told, are educated, are cultured by our families to say, respect your elders, take care of them, keep them with you, your grandparents, and so on. But it will also help the elders to have that kind of money in their hand. That is why schemes which are being brought out by the Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi, one such an example, again something which Shri Pankaj Chaudhary mentioned about, is the Atal Pension Yojana, where the poorest of poor people, even if they pay very little amount, like 1 rupee, 3 rupee for a saving, now it's probably gone to different rates for different people. You want, eventually you want only 1,000 rupees as pension, because beyond that you can't pay annual premiums. All right, but you still pay something very little amount so that you get 1,000 rupees when you reach the age of 60, and that will continue as long as you are alive. So that kind of a scheme was launched by Honorable Prime Minister, called Atal Pension Yojana, and I will just want to give you the numbers so that you know that not just launching the scheme, but taking it forward in such a way that it reaches maximum number of people happens. What is it? It's a low-cost pension scheme. You can choose to get 1,000 rupees per month, or up to 5,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. You can choose that amount of monthly pension you want, and pay your premiums accordingly. Now, that one, after 60th year, you start earning. We introduced this. It has a feature that in case the person who insured themselves unfortunately dies, the spouse will get that money as long as the spouse is alive. Now, if the full pension corpus is collected and you're given 1,000 rupees a month or whatever you chose, 2,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees. Unfortunate death, you're dead and gone, your spouse gets it. Suppose both of them die. That entire amount which is in the corpus will be given to the nominee. Suppose there is a child who grows up. These elderly citizen, father and mother, expired. That money will go to the nominee. So what you saved is literally coming back to you and your family. Therefore, since the time it was launched, which was only around 2015, if I remember correct, 6.9 crore people, 6.90 crore people have taken that Atal Pension Yojana. And what is the total money accumulated in that till now? Obviously, if you took the pension in 2015, it's only what? 9 years since it started? Not yet anybody ready to receive the pension. They're still accumulating that money. For you to be eligible, you'll have to reach 60th year. Payments of pension in that Atal Pension Yojana has not commenced, but the money corpus is accumulating. What does that corpus today have? 35,149 crores. Small trickles. Small trickles. You know, when you take the Atal Pension Yojana, thinking that when you become 60, you need it and you choose the 1,000 rupees, and what would be that amount, Deepak? If I choose 1,000 rupees at the age of, let us say, 25, and I say I'm poor, I can't pay a very high premium. When I'm 60, I need 1,000 rupees as pension per month. Suppose that's the combination at 25.
Yeah, about 40 rupees.
14.
40.
40 in a year.
Yeah. No, monthly.
Monthly 40 rupees, right? Okay. So I hope the students who are here and parents who are planning for these things understand what it means. A गरीब 25 साल में अगर अटल पेंशन योजना के तहत वो जब 60 इयर्स पहुंचेगा तब अगर 1,000 रुपया महीना उनको पेंशन चाहिए, अब महीना 25 इयर्स में, जब आप 25 इयर्स में हो, 60 इयर्स पहुंचने के बाद 1,000 रुपीज पर मंथ पेंशन चाहिए, तो अभी महीने में 40 रुपया ही आप भरना पड़ेगा. That is the kind of work Atal Pension Yojana requires of you. 40 रुपया महीना के प्रीमियम भरते हुए 60th ईयर से आपको 1,000 रुपया पेंशन के नाते मिलेगा. और जब तक आप जीवित रहेंगे और आपके पति पत्नी वो स्पाउस जो भी हो, उनको जब तक वो जिंदा रहेंगे पैसा मिलेगा. इसीलिए आई वॉन्ट टू हाईलाइट द फैक्ट दैट टिल नाउ इन इंडिया we've always thought about saving money for our future. Here, through this pension plan, you are saving as much as ensuring your future income. That is the kind of explanation, or that is the narrative I can give you when I say intergenerational equity. So when you're old, you have something in your hand, you're not completely or entirely dependent on your children. The children will take care of you, but you have something for yourself. Now, this is about Atal Pension Yojana, which is for the poorest of the poor. Government of India in 2004 launched a scheme called National Pension Scheme, which is for people who have some income in their hands. And therefore, there is a way in which that income can be pooled towards pension. It is easily accessible. Whenever you want to take that money, you can always use it. Low cost, tax efficient, and also flexible and portable retirement scheme. In this, although it was launched in 2004, it was extended to all citizens. Earlier it was launched for the central government employees. Then it became open for everybody. NPS in the last 10 years has grown at the rate of 37% CAGR. At present, 1.86 crore subscribers are there in it, and the asset under management has crossed 13 lakh crores NPS. There is an NPS exclusively for the private sector. Even that has grown very well. In fact, I would like to highlight how between March 2020 and March 2024, just those 4 years, what kind of growth, and this is voluntary basis, what kind of growth in the private domain NPS has seen. It has grown much faster, and the CAGR for those 4 years is 25%, as opposed to the government subscription, which has been running for the 10 years now, at 8%. So the private sector employees have found NPS a very attractive proposition, and therefore there you see such growth, and that is why the asset under management for the private sector has grown at this rate, which is 43%, whereas compared to the government sector, the CAGR is 27%. PFRDA, which is Deepak Mohanty, manages 58.71 lakh customers who have taken or who have put 2.62 lakh the private citizens as total amount coming from the corporate sector. Now, if this is about NPS, the government in the recent budget announced a unified pension scheme, and that is for the central government employees. It will be effective from 1st April 2025. It has the best elements, I would think, of OPS, NPS, and it provides an assured pension after retirement, which is what OPS did, but here it has other features as well. So the government employees will receive a guaranteed pension amounting to 50% of the average basic pay drawn in the last 12 months before retirement. Additionally, the UPS scheme includes inflation indexation based on that All India Consumer Price Index for industrial workers. So that determines what kind of indexation will have to happen to soften the impact of inflation. The state governments obviously have an option to adopt the UPS. It is their choice. There's no compulsion. They can choose as they want. What the UPS does is takes care of the government employees' interest. And as finance minister, I have a responsibility to say this. It also takes care of the taxpayers' interest so that there is no overburdening the future generations of a heavy pension bill. So I may be finance minister now, taking care of finances now, but I have to be conscious that what I do now doesn't burden these young people who are going to grow. When they grow up, they end up paying for these fancy schemes or fantastic schemes that any government will come up with. So what I have done here is to make sure that the pensioners' interests are taken care of, but equally making sure that the taxpayers are not going to get overburdened. On NPS Vatsalya, which has got launched today, it actually brings in a habit of saving for the parents. It's a saving habit of the parents who can put the money for the children. Children can, of course, have their own little piggy banks or what do you call it? Gulak? Gulak? What do you call that? Gulak. I'm not familiar with that word, but sorry about that. So the benefit of compounding is something which everybody spoke about. I don't need to add. It can begin the savings, the pension actually begins even 15-20 years earlier than when you get a job, and at 25 you start saving for your pension. You've already started doing that when you join NPS Vatsalya. So I think it was Secretary DFS who highlighted the figures that the NPS scheme has generated very competitive returns. I just want to highlight, because I see media friends here, the benefits of what the NPS scheme is giving needs to be recalled. The NPS scheme generated competitive returns since its inception. For the government sector, NPS has on an average has given return of 9.5% compounded annual growth rate since its inception. For the non-government sectors, it is absolutely stunning number. Of course, the markets have been very good, but the number is stunning. In the non-government sector, since inception, the permitted asset classes have delivered a CAGR returns of, I'm talking about three different categories, 14% for equity, 9.1% for corporate debt, and 8.8% for government securities. Imagine if you had invested 30% of your entire portfolio, one in equity, another in corporate debt, and a third one in government securities. I roughly can instantly sort of calculate you will be getting somewhere between 10.5 or 10.6% returns if you put 30% in the three. So that is the kind of returns you get under NPS, and this is NPS Vatsalya. So the child is getting the advantage of this kind of return right from when the money is saved, and when he or she is 18 or whenever they get a job, this moves. 18 is when it moves over to become a regular NPS and then benefit from it. So my appeal, we've already said what kind of NPS this is, Vatsalya. I'm not going to go into the details. It is up to 18 years you can put this money for any child. It is flexible. You can do it in any major bank. You can go to post office. You can go to the pension funds office, or even on the online NPS portal and do it from there. So my appeal to all parents is, when you go with your child, जब आपके बच्चे के साथ आप एक बर्थडे पार्टी में जाएंगे, जरूर आपके छोटे छोटे टॉफियां या केक या कुछ तोहफा उस बच्चे के लिए लेके जाइए, जरूर लेके जाइए। मगर आपके हिस्सा अगर उस बच्चे के फुल फ्यूचर के लिए काम में आना है, तो आप एनपीएस वात्सल्य के नाम में उनके पेरेंट्स के हाथ में कुछ पैसा देकर आना, जिससे वो इन्वेस्ट कर पाएंगे। So birthdays or any other happy occasion in the family, if our gifts are going to be Vatsalya, you're not just giving a birthday gift of that day or a happy day's gift on that day. It will be a lifelong contribution for the child's future. So I invite all parents, I invite all elders to look at children in the family, children in the neighborhood, children of people who are with you, children of people who attend to you at your homes. उनके बच्चे के भविष्य के लिए, क्योंकि इसमें बहुत बड़ा अमाउंट नहीं, 1000 रुपया दे दीजिए, उससे वात्सल्य बहुत बड़ा बन जाएगा, सबके लिए इससे फायदा है. So I invite all of you to join the NPS Vatsalya. Also make sure you're sending this message to all your friends and families. It is a scheme which can give dignity to the elders and a sense of security for the children that the elders are being taken care of. ये सरकार सबके लिए है, बच्चे के लिए है, क्योंकि हम बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ ऐसे बहुत सारे कार्यक्रम करते हैं. युवा के लिए है, युवा एक जाति के नाम पर हम रिकॉग्नाइज करते हैं, जैसे किसान, जैसे महिला, जैसे बच्चे और जैसे गरीब. इन चारों को हम जाति के रूप में देखकर उनके लिए कार्यक्रम करते हैं. इसीलिए we take care of all the sections of our society. Society also should appreciate the various good-natured schemes which are coming up for the current generation and for the future. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. सबके लिए नमस्कार.